the beautiful and historic Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. Recently, it was the meeting place for the Detroit Regional Chamber's annual Leadership Policy Conference. What was on the minds of the very influential movers and shakers who gathered here, and what impact will their decisions have on your life? We'll talk about that today on our Sunday morning program. Our guests will include former Washington, D.C. Mayor Tony Williams, Wayne County Executive Bob Ficano, Michigan Attorney General Bill Schuette, and other movers and shakers. It's Sunday, June the 10th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is a Spotlight on the News special. Mr. Mayor, is life better out of the mayor's chair, or was it better when you were in the mayor's chair?
Well, it's certainly less hectic and it's less chaotic, but the emotional attachment to a community, to a city, as a mayor, right at the ground level where the rubber hits the road, so to speak, it's incomparable. There's nothing like it. It's the best job in the world. On a broad kind of overarching level, it was really getting people to come together, work together, and succeed together. And here is where I think there's a lesson for Detroit. There was a lot of finger pointing, a lot of excuses, a lot of hand wringing. Bring everyone together, not just to have a seminar, but to work on real projects that lead to a brighter future. So everyone comes together, they roll up their sleeves together, they see a future and they succeed together, and that starts a flywheel and a virtuous cycle of more movement and more action on the fundamentals. Create a climate for investment, improve public safety, improve public investment.
Yeah, but that sounds easy, especially when you're looking at it through a rearview mirror, but I know it wasn't easy. How do you get people on the same page, especially when you have so many different factions at war with each other?
And I think what really happened in D.C. was we had an urgent situation. We had a fiscal emergency, which drew everyone's attention. I think in normal times it probably would have been harder to kind of galvanize the attention in that way. But I would say, again, segue to Detroit. You have a fiscal emergency, you can get everyone's attention, focus them on the here and now.
Just a hammer over the head.
You know, the sword of Damocles, a hammer over the head, brings everyone, you know, you burn the bridge behind you, you got to move forward.
As you mentioned, you were mayor of Washington, D.C. under a tough financial crisis. Give Detroiters some idea of what life is going to be like under a consent agreement.
First of all, there will be some necessary, I think, steps that aren't so pleasing, that aren't so pleasant. Because you can't, you know, as I always tell people, you can't diet while you eat or learn French while you sleep. You got to take the medicine. But, again, focus on the future. So, but what are some of these steps? You've got to right-size over time the workforce. I think you want to right-size the workforce in a way that's least disruptive to families, to their livelihoods, and to real people. Everybody respects it. I certainly understand it. I think one way to do that is by looking at what is your attrition rate, and then manage to that attrition rate.
But we're talking about a city where the population is shrinking, but pensions are not shrinking.
One of the key things that I think this fiscal emergency ought to be doing is focusing everyone on the fact that everything should be on the table. And the kind of losses or the kind of concessions that I'm talking about, painful as they are, I think are worthwhile if they're positive and if they're directed toward a better future. And what we tried to do in Washington was to say, look, people are making some concessions, they're making some givebacks. Maybe there are some layoffs, but it's toward a brighter future for the city. And I think Detroit has a bright future.
You're looking at Detroit from the outside. You don't have to live there. What do you see as the positives that we need to make sure that we really work on?
A lot of the things that are driving the American city are in Detroit's favor. First of all, we're in the century of cities. By 2050, over 70% of the world's population is going to live in a city. Increasingly, Americans understand and they're more appreciative of cities. People are moving back into cities. Detroit, right now, the nightlife in Detroit is actually improving. Everyone will tell you that. I've seen that for myself. So people like to be in cities. That's very, very important. Number two, If you look at the economy of a city, all the things that can make for a good economy, Detroit has these things. High tech related to the auto industry, if nothing else. High-end manufacturing, a service economy connected with and related to the industries I mentioned, and robust, high-level academic atmosphere. Michigan, Detroit has that. All those things are going for the city.
We're hearing some rumors that your name is being floated as someone who may be tapped to come in and help turn Detroit's ship right side up. Is that true? Have there been any conversations, and do you have any interests?
My only interest is I love cities, and this is a great city, and I want Detroit to succeed, and anything I can help do as just an American citizen who loves the city, I want to do, but I'm not interested in taking some leadership role or, but to help the mayor, to help the governor, to, help create an environment of success that I talked about, where our businesses and our people can, kind of have the lives that we're talking about. Definitely want to see that happen, because as Detroit succeeds, other cities succeed, I think. In my humble opinion, and I know some of the councilmen disagree with me, because they say we're special, I really disagree. Every city has its unique history and culture. Detroit certainly has. In my humble opinion, there's nothing really happening here that's really that unique and that remarkable. It may be in degree, but certainly not in kind.
When I was a teenager living in D.C., they referred to it as the chocolate city with the vanilla suburbs. You certainly can't say that now. There's tremendous racial diversity going on within the district. Would that be an asset for Detroit? We're talking about a city that is overwhelmingly African American.
The American city is going to prosper with more immigration. I think mayors should be in favor of robust immigration. But that said, if you read Anthony Lewis' book about Boston, or Doris Kearns Goodwin's book about Boston, the Fitzgerald and the Kennedys, Boston has this image of being the Irish city because that's its history and its tradition, but the Irish aren't a majority in Boston. It's a very diverse city. Likewise, Washington, D.C. may or may not now have a majority African-American population, but its history and its tradition and culture, because of the Civil War, emancipation, civil rights. Yes, you mentioned the chocolate city, that's its tradition, but it's a diverse city. I say that so as to say Detroit will always have its history and its tradition of a vibrant African-American culture and history and all that. But its future may very well be as a much more diverse city, and I think that's a good thing.
Coming up, I'll go one-on-one with Wayne County Executive Bob Ficano. Mr. County Executive, this seems to be an annual pilgrimage where we make our way to Mackinac Island, and oftentimes the movers and shakers like to make some type of economic development announcement. Do you have one for us this year?
Well, we've been really successful, Chuck, in terms of Wayne County and the investments that have been going on. You take out some of the big projects, we'll average about $500 million a year in investment. The first quarter, we're already up to $340 million. So it looks like we're on a banner year for that to happen. There's expansion that's going on with GE around the airport. There's a couple of international companies that are coming in around the airport. The Aerotropolis actually now is starting to blossom, and companies are starting to attract and come into the area.
The last time we sat down and talked one-on-one, you were sort of like a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, shining brightly. What in the world has happened, and can you do the job you need to do engulfed in the controversy that you're engulfed in?
Well, Chuck, I've been in public life now for 30 years. I've been blessed. As sheriff for close to 20, and 9 now as county executive. And the last 4 or 5 months, have they been difficult? Of course. But like any county, like any executive, you look at and you say, okay, what were the issues and what were the problems? The test is usually, what do you do once you find out the problem is, and what do you do to adjust to it? What corrections do you make? And that's what that's what I've been doing. If I found out that something was wrong, if somebody wanted to do something in the shadows outside of what audits and things would catch, they should be held accountable, and something should happen to them. And we've cooperated and made sure that if somebody did something wrong, they should be held accountable in the process. And we've been able to maintain and move forward.
You've said publicly that mistakes have been made, and you've said that you have personally made mistakes, but you have also said that you will not resign. Why not?
I apologized back at the end of the year for mistakes that were made. I apologized at the state of the county, and I've apologized for mistakes that have been made in the past. But now's the time to move forward. And I realize that people are up for re-election at this point. There's a little bit of political theater, perhaps, that goes with some of this that's happening at this moment.
Can you sit here one-on-one today, look me straight in the face, and say that you've done absolutely nothing criminal?
I have a clear conscience, and I know that I've done everything morally that I should do and not done anything criminal at all.
But Mr. County Executive, there are many people who say, even if you didn't do anything personally, that you should have known that all of this was going on around you, and if you didn't know, shame on you that the buck stops at your desk.
People that want to move in the shadows and do things with a criminal intent to circumvent the system, not only do the biggest thing is they betray not only my trust, but they betray the trust of the people of Wayne County, and they should be held accountable. And we'll cooperate fully with any law enforcement agency that wants to look at those people and hold them accountable.
How worried are you about the number of people that may be lining up to run against you in 2 years?
You know, at this point, that's still well over 2 years away. What I'm doing is doing the best I can to service for the people of Wayne County. To me, the most important thing, the number one priority, is jobs. What can we do so people can work?
Collaboration is the buzzword this year. It's not the first time. We've been here before. We've heard that word before. Are you seeing the type of collaboration that we need to have in Southeast Michigan?
I think you're starting to see that, yes. I mean, in terms of, you saw Cobo Hall come together. I thought that would be, take me a whole lifetime, but it eventually came. It eventually came together.
It seems like my lifetime.
Yeah, it finally came together, and we were able to achieve it. And you have a group. You have a organization that runs it now, a panel that consists of the counties, the state, and the city. Also, look at the water board. Remember, just a year and a half ago, everybody thought there was going to be, a real war, a throwdown over the water board. We were able to get in, work it out, and today you don't hear too much about it. The thing is, it's functioning, and things are going smoothly there, and people are getting more comfortable with it. Look at the DIA. Everybody's come together with that and saving that as an asset for the area. The zoo was another one where everybody has worked together to show that it was an asset, and everybody's made a judgment that cooperatively that we can work together to help those things. So overall, there's been a lot of collaboration and a lot of work done together.
Mr. County Executive, thank you for sitting down with us. Pleasure talking with you.
You too.
Good luck. When Spotlight returns, I'll talk about public safety with Michigan Attorney General Bill Schuette. Public safety is something that most citizens are concerned about, and many of the movers and shakers. You have been pushing a public safety plan. Bring us up to date on what it is.
The first obligation, the first responsibility of government is public safety. It's enshrined in our Constitution. Article 1 talks about the commitment to public safety. And I'm convinced that we need to redouble our efforts and make sure that we deal with the question of safety. Right now there's too much fear. And when fear reigns, then there's chaos, and that's unacceptable for Michigan. The other aspect of this whole issue of public safety is tougher laws to keep, violent criminals behind bars. And I'm working on repeat offenders. And there's something that I'm working on called VO4, Violent Offense Fourth.
But is violent offenders, what you call your VO4 plan, is that the real crux of the matter here? Are they responsible for a disproportionate amount of crime?
Well, I think it's all kind of connected, but I think we need to send a message that in this new Michigan that we're rebuilding, there are consequences if you break the law, and repeat violent offenders need to be behind bars. And we see instance after instance where there's a very narrow group of repeat violent offenders that if we put them behind bars for 25 years, it would send a message that there's no messing around and that we're going to protect our citizenry. And I guess the final point here is that I'm convinced that unless we have a full and complete commitment to public safety, there can never be a full economic recovery.
Do you believe that Detroit Police Chief Godbee is being as creative as he can be and as creative as you would like him to be in addressing crime these days?
Well, the mayor and the chief are, been dealt a difficult hand, so to speak, and I think the governor and I want to work with the city of Detroit and with Chief Godbee to help every way we can, and obviously other elected and community leaders. And the point is, we need to have an economic recovery in Detroit, but we need to have, in order to really help make that occur, we need to have public safety recovery.
There are whispers that Attorney General Schuette might be positioning himself to run against Governor Snyder at some point.
Now, I am absolutely convinced that our governor is doing an outstanding job. We'll run again in 2014, and he'll be resoundingly elected. I'm going to run again as Attorney General for the state of Michigan, and my whole focus is about serving.
No chance you'll run against Governor Snyder?
No, he's going to, we're friends. I mean, it's, your best man in your wedding, you don't run against him. You want to encourage him. So we have a great governor. We're part of a team. And so it'll be Snyder and Callie and Ruth Johnson and Bill Schuette, and we're going to have a solid Republican year in 2014.
All right,
the future will take
rumors.
Yeah, the future will take care of itself. Shoot, I'm just going to serve and work hard as Attorney General.
All right, Mr. Attorney General,
thanks
so much for sitting down with us.
Good to see you. Thank you for this privilege.
Coming up, business and labor leaders. Sean, you're here at the Mackinac Conference. You represent one of the most powerful unions in the state. A lot of times we're hearing today that unions feel as though they're under attack. Do you feel that way?
To an extent, but I feel like for unions, this is a time for us to show the value that we bring to the proposition. In the IBEW with our contractor partners at the National Electrical Contractors Association, we have a very good working relationship with our partners. We know that without our contractor partners, we can't survive, and our contractors know that without us and the skilled labor that we bring, that they can't, do what they do as far as jobs in our area.
When you hear the governor and other leaders talk about the comeback of Michigan, where do you see the unions playing a role in that?
I see us front and center. I see the unions as having the ability to be a part of this comeback. More than being a hindrance, I think that we are actually a vehicle for people to get into the middle class. We are a vehicle for some of the best trained people that you can find in this country. We train electricians and telecommunication workers in our local, along with residential wiremen, and the training that we invest in creates some of the best skilled workers, the most efficient workers that you're going to find anywhere.
Nancy Schlichting, I understand you've enjoyed yourself so much you've signed up for another year's chair, correct?
No, I haven't signed up for another year's chair, but I will be chairing the regional policy, or not the regional policy, the Detroit Regional Chamber.
Right. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I haven't known anybody yet that says, let me have one more year of this Mackinac Conference.
Well, I understand, but I would help in any way.
As you look through the rearview mirror, did this conference meet all of your expectations?
Actually, it did. I'm a tough critic on myself and on everything I do, but I was very pleased. I thought the quality of the speakers, the content of the program, and frankly, the enthusiasm and participation of everyone who was here, I think was terrific. And I think we're at a momentum point in terms of our city, our region, and our state. And I think we're going to make that next move and really advance forward in an incredibly positive way.
The conference likes to issue a report card and a to-do list. The report card first. How did you do this year from what was on the list last year?
Actually, I think we accomplished all but one. There were 7 items on that list. There was a lot of accountability around that. The reports came back to the Detroit Regional Chamber Board, and there was a written to-do list kind of report card that was published so everybody could see it. And, you know, some of the important things we're doing is again, collaborating around the state. We had a trip to Grand Rapids actually last year, and the Grand Rapids folks came here this year. And, you know, just talking with one another about the opportunity to work together on things is very important. And I was very impressed that the people in Grand Rapids know that Detroit is at the center of what people think about when they think about Michigan.
Of the to-do list that you have,
Yeah.
what are you most anxious to get done?
Well, I think the first one on that list is to work with the governor on a statewide veterans hiring conference. I think that's actually the most important. The governor talked very eloquently about the importance of rehiring our veterans. We had an entire session devoted to rehiring our veterans. Not only is it the right thing to do because, I mean, our veterans deserve so much more and they need to know how to transfer those skills, but it's also a great thing for businesses. These are great employees with great records, working with the most advanced technology, who've had tremendous experience, who are truly calm under fire, literally. We need to do better by our veterans.
10 years from now?
10 years from now,
Where's this region going to be?
10 years from now, the national media are going to be writing these incredibly glowing stories about Detroit, and they're going to be asking one question: how did they do it? How did this city that was kind of synonymous with decline become the city of rebirth? And it's going to happen because, you know, our state government made the difficult choices to kind of right the ship of state and fix our budget and fix our taxation and make us more business friendly. It's going to happen because businesses invest, and it's going to happen, yes, because the city of Detroit itself is going to fix its structural problems, and we're going to turn a new page, and we're going to become a more dynamic, vibrant city that's willing to try things that are new.
How long before planning for 2013 begins?
Well, I just met with my boss, Nancy Schlichting, and I think it started about 30 minutes ago.
All right, ready to move onward and upward. Sandy, thanks so much.
Always a pleasure.
All right, good luck.
Great to see you, my friend.
So does the Detroit Regional Chamber's annual Leadership Policy Conference really help to foster greater collaboration among our movers and shakers in Southeast Michigan and across the state? You be the judge. From the historic Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island, I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the spotlight. We hope you have a great week.
This Week with George Stephanopoulos is next here on 7.